Hello, my name's Dustin, if you haven't met me. And I'm going to be telling you guys about what we did at Tears this year. There was another terrible expedition there. For those of you that aren't certain where it is, it's in the Bob, the same area that Hans was just detailing. Again, there's a satellite image of the Silvertip here, and then Turtlehead Mountains a little bit further south. So just a brief exploration history. I'm not sure, 2005, 2007, I don't know if Hans is out there. They discovered it in one of those years, him and Jason, and they explored this first half of the cave. This is just a plan view of the cave down here. And then in 2012, they returned for another look, I believe because Virgil the turtle was getting close to it or looked like it might connect. And James Hunter did a climb, a pretty short climb, and the cave continued from there. And then in 2013, they continued exploration through the Bunga Bunga meanders, which is a pretty nasty section of the cave. You're kind of just stemming in a canyon a lot of the time, a lot of little pour over drops of like 3 to 5 meters. And these were all day trips. And then in 2014, and in the end of 2013, they broke into the borehole, which was the future camp location. But in 2014, they were still doing day trips all the way to the end, which is, it's a really big day. It's impressive that they were doing that. And then after that, in 2016 and 2019, they established a camp in that lower borehole section. And these are some photos from the early exploration. This is Ben Tobin, and you can see that's the character of almost the entire cave. And yeah, I think, let's see here. Yeah, in 2014, it became the deepest cave. In the US anyway. More trips, more mud. So yeah, this year we went back to continue the trips and the mud and the fun. It's about a 20-mile hike from the trailhead to the base camp. There's about 1 mile of that is off trail. And then I actually went after Silvertip this year, so myself, Irina, and Brendan hiked over from Silvertip along the syncline. These are just some nice pictures from the hike in. And then this is, I believe, this is near there. This is kind of what you hike. After you get off the trail, you hike cross-country to base camp. And then you arrive at base camp. So yeah, we're camped right at this cliff band. And to access Tears, you actually hike down this hill over here and around this cliff band and up into the next valley over. So it's also a little bit of a hike to get to the cave from camp. Just all of us kind of hanging out around base camp here. I believe when they first found us, this was all forested. The fire is since they discovered the entrance, or since they started camping here. All right, so what did we do this year? So we were going to reestablish camp in the borehole and then just continue pushing the bottom of the cave. We were going to do different camp trips, and it was kind of a 4-person camp the whole time, but 2 of those people would stay for a longer duration, and then 2 people would go in, support them, and come out, essentially. And we had a Sherpa team go in first and carry the bags part of the way down, then the first camp team went in pretty light and empty, picked those bags up, and went to the borehole camp location, established camp, and then did exploration. And yeah, this is here's some pictures. The last thing you see, this is the entrance to Tears here going in. The last daylight you see. Just a profile view of the cave. You can see it follows the dip pretty much the entire time. And yeah, just to reiterate, this is the borehole here where the camp is. And most of the mud in the cave's known for its horrible mud, is below this borehole section. Pretty much everything you see mapped here is that terrible mud. There's a picture of some of the terrible mud. So yeah, they did several traverses, and they found a new pit while they were exploring this year. Yeah, so it was these folks, Mark Wingard, Irina, Alex, George, Tommy, and Eric went to push the bottom, and this is a big pit that they found. Oh, not a big pit, but it's a pit that they found. And at the bottom of that pit, it's actually clean. So that's kind of where the mud ends. And beyond there, it's dry enough that all the mud falls off of your suit if you have a PVC suit, and it's really pleasurable caving. So that was exciting. This is also a potential camp location. below, if the camp in the borehole, you have to go through the mud every day and then come back, which is a pretty mentally taxing experience. And so this is a possible camp location beyond the mud, so we would be clean, which would be really nice. And so Jason and I went in for one of these camp trips after that group was coming out, and we passed them in the cave, and they said the cave has been bottomed, it's over, it's done. And so Jason and I were all excited. We dropped our bags literally where we met them in the cave and just took what we needed to the bottom. We were going to do a tourist trip to the bottom of the cave. This is Jason near the bottom. You can see his PVC suit is yellow again, and the walls are clean. There's a little puddle there. And we did find a sump where it ends, and we backed up maybe 20 meters from the sump and did a little climb up, and the cave continued. And given all the obstacles they've already overcome, the little climb up that we did to continue the cave is fairly straightforward. So I think that they just wanted the cave to end, and so they said it did. Luckily, the lead that we climbed into where the cave continued, it was marked as a lead on the sketch. So they didn't actually miss it. They just decided to ignore it. And yeah, this is a picture. It's kind of hard to judge scale here, but I mean, this is probably like a 20 to 30 meter tall canyon. It's going. Jason and I at the bottom, when we did that little climb up, he got really excited and kind of took off and said, "Follow me, it's going, it's going." I followed him, and somehow we got separated. Bottom tiers is not a good place to get separated. And I took another canyon, and so I continued down that a ways as well. So there's two canyons now at the bottom that are continuing and big, and I don't know how they could stop. They're so big. So that's really exciting. And we broke 2,000 feet this year. Despite the fact that we only did maybe 200 vertical feet of survey, it did push it from like I think it was 1,800 feet now to over 2,000, so it's the first 2,000 foot deep limestone in the US. And yeah, we're planning to return in 2024. In that pit that I mentioned as a possible camp location, we're kind of looking at like hammocks or a portaledge camp there because there's not a good spot on the ground. And then exploration will continue from there into these new passages, and hopefully without the mud, morale will be higher. But we'll see. And yeah, this is Jason at camp. He enters the data there at camp, so it's pretty exciting to like know when we broke 2,000 there at camp. Everybody was happy about it. And everybody, of course, was unhappy that the cave continued. So, there's a bunch of other stuff that we did while we were up there. Hans was up there with students. They went into Double Date and did some monitoring. James and Beth also went into Double Date. I joined them a day or two just to do some lead checking. None of it came out to anything. They all just kind of died. Another cave that Hans just talked about, Virgil. There's a big infeeder that comes into the middle bottom of the cave, and we were pushing up that. We did a few climbs, and it just continues up as a big canyon. So I got a few days surveying in there, and then again, Hans and students conducted some cave monitoring. Yeah, that's all I have. It's pretty brief, but we didn't have a lot of pictures this year, and we didn't get a whole lot of survey, but are there any questions? Say it again? Next trip's summer of 2024, yeah. You need a year or two to forget, I guess, the pain of going down there. I will say, it has a reputation, and I kind of went in there all excited, and it's a scary place and a muddy place, and it's a long way from the surface. So you definitely need a year. Yeah? The possible resurgence is Needle Falls, which is in the White River Valley there. I'm not sure the elevation difference between the bottom of tiers and Needle Falls. Do you, Hans? 20 from the entrance to Needle Falls? Okay, so about 300 more feet, if that is the resurgence. Yeah.
How far is the distance?
It is quite a distance. Do you know the distance, Hans? No. Okay. It is quite a bit down the valley, that resurgence, so. This far on the map. So. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of anybody considering a dye trace. Okay. And that's another exciting thing that we found this year. Near the bottom, there's an infeeder passage. You saw that where the sump is. That's because of an infeeder coming in. And so there is some water there that could have dye dumped into it and be traced. So, any other questions?
Is your upstream passage in Virgil, is that like the big room and then through that squeeze? Is that where you guys are working in?
Yeah, yep. There's a really nasty squeeze there, yep. And then we just kept going up that canyon. So, which continues to somehow be a nasty squeeze, but like 100 to 150 feet tall.
I thought it was pretty nasty when I saw that.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for listening.